Okay, now that we've installed the faucet, we're going to install the pop-up assembly. I'm just going to go over the parts real quick. We got the waste seat. We're going to put plumber's putty here. We have the plug. We have the pivot rod and the pivot rod nut. We have the clamp, and we have the pull-up rod, and then we have the drain body, and then we have a pair of channel locks so we can get around this nut here to tighten it up in the end. Make sure the washer's on. And then we're going to use plumber's putty and Teflon tape. Now, the directions do not call for Teflon tape, but I found if you don't use Teflon tape over the years that they'll still leak. So I always put on the Teflon tape as an extra precaution. So the first step in installing the pop-up assembly is make sure this area is clean so we get a good seal. So now let's install the plumber's putty on the back side of the waste seat. And just take your plumber's putty and be liberal about this because you don't want this area leaking into the vanity box. Now we can put it into the sink. Okay, so just push the waste seat in, and a lot of this excess plumber's putty is going to come out once we put the pop-up assembly body in. So now we're going to do an extra step. We're going to put the Teflon tape on the pop-up body here, and then just start rolling it on counterclockwise. Sometimes I double it up on the top here. And then just work your way down, going counterclockwise. And the reason we can do it counterclockwise is so it won't fall off when you thread it on. Okay, and then notice here we have these overflow holes. We're gonna have to punch those out. Don't forget to do that or your overflow feature won't work. Okay, we're just gonna punch out these holes here for the overflow. So now we're going to install the drain body. Just bring it up and we're going to screw it into the waste seat. There we go. And you're going to hold it up top here till you get it nice and tight. So the real trick is to have this pointing towards the back of the faucet for the lift up, for the lift rod, and then tighten this nut here. So now we're going to use our channel locks to tighten this nut down. Once you get the right adjustment. Hold this bottom part of the drain body and tighten this baby down. You have to go beyond hand tight to get a good seal. So the Moen faucet pop-up assembly has an interesting feature. It actually has this ledge here where we could just put the pivot rod there to actually have a chance to pull the plug out for cleaning the drain, or you could have it like this. I recommend this way, that way the plug doesn't get lost. So this is the best way to do it, to have this hole towards the back. Then just drop it in and then we'll install the pivot rod from the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to install the pivot rod here for the pop-up. But first we got to put on some Teflon, and we're going to do it counterclockwise again. And I usually go two or three times. This takes time, so just be patient. And then we're going to install our nut here. And then we want to make sure we get in that little slot of the pop-up. And then we'll tighten this down. Just hand tighten it. There we go. Just make sure the pop-up is working correctly. Okay, we're good. Okay, so now we're gonna install this pull-up rod. So slip it in. Make sure this comes towards the back, and then we'll connect the clamp. So now we're gonna connect the clamp, and you just have to figure out which hole works the best. So when it's down, I think we'll go up to this one and try that one. Then just tighten this up. Might take a couple times to get this right. And then don't forget to put your clamp back on. Put the clamp on. See if this works. So it's up right now. The plug is up, and then when we pull it up, it's down, and it worked out perfect. Working great.